CRR leaked, Guild plus Bluey, Singularity plus Flame, Monkeys plus Cash, and PS plus Resi. Is there any team that CRR didn't leak scrims of? What? That is so many teams. How can you leak that many scrims without noticing that you've got the auto-upload replays on? That is too funny. Yeah, well, let's do the Ashllxyy Luis series then, because K-Dop has uploaded the other matches that people are talking about. Alright. But yeah, this game was already streamed on the DreamHack channel. So, I'm not going to cast this as if it's the first time viewing. Let's just see what happened, because I've not watched the game closely. Luis in the Octane, Ashllxyy in the Fennec. Lower final winner of this goes on to the grand final for DreamHack 1v1. DreamHack Boost 1v1 EU tournament. $2,000 US tournament. It's a pretty good save there by Ashllxyy. He had to stay away from the ball because Luis is trying to demo him as well. Another good save. He's being so careful with his boost. I'm very impressed that Ashllxyy still got 34 boost after all this. Defending a couple of Luis aerial plays. So Luis fails the third one, but it's all bait. It draws Ashllxyy in. It's a great series. Yeah, I am very much looking forward to seeing this. Luis leaked speed, Tigre speed. So Luis has leaked the speed, has managed to somehow clone himself. I am not looking forward to that. One speed is more than enough for me. So, seen a lot of Luis recently, seen a lot of Ashllxyy recently in 1v1. I think both players have a lot of similarities to how they play the game. A lot of flair in offense, they have tons of mechanical ability, and they started off as complete offensive powerhouses with very little defense to fall back on. Nowadays, that's far from the case. They're both really, really good on defense as well. You saw there the boost management from Ashllxyy, the effective challenges on aerial plays from Luis. And there's a lovely little wave dash kickoff from Ashllxyy as well. It's almost a must that you have the wave dash kickoff. Wave dash recovery kickoff, I should say, in your back pocket these days. Johnny, if you had to clone teams of one player, who would be the best team? Who would be the best team if you had 3 of one player? Oh my, that's a good question. It would have to be someone who doesn't annoy themselves. Like, I mean, since Scrub asked the question, we've got to first of all consider what would 3 Scrubs be like. And the first thing that comes to my mind is like, they would annoy each other so much. Like, can you guys imagine how annoyed Scrub would be about playing with Scrub? Because Scrub hates ball chasers, but he also ball chases. And he hates, you know, he gets tilted when anyone's toxic, but he's also really, really toxic himself. He'll be like, what is saving people? And they do it to him, and he's like, how could they want to save me? So, I think Scrub would be super annoyed at having to play with himself. He'd have a nightmare. Probably, yeah, Fairy Peak I think would be a good one. I think Fairy Peak would be very, very positive to the other Fairy Peaks. Like, one of the Fairy Peaks messes up, and the other fairies would both just say in unison, it's okay. It's okay, I'm up. I have. And yeah, the other one that comes to mind is 3 Garretts, of course. Garrett GGG. So, I think, yeah, Garrett and Fairy Peak are the first ones, but I don't know. Maybe 3 Garretts these days. Because I think Garrett is just so adaptable. I think if he had to be, Garrett could be the mechanical ball chaser on his team, but he could also be like the calculated third man, whereas I think Fairy Peak is the calculated third man, or the you know, the aggressive second man. Rarely the mechanical ball chaser these days. He's got the mechanics to play midfield, but I don't think he's got as many outplays as Garrett does. I think Garrett would be my favorite, you know, 3 of 1 player on a team. 3 Jessies. Okay, now we're talking. Why didn't I think of that? Blake said before that he wouldn't want an exact 3 of himself. Well, of course not. They would all just fake challenges, and the other team would score. Like, can you imagine 3 Flakes? Like, they would all just fake a challenge at the same time, and then the other team would take a shot, and you'd be like, ah, for goodness sake. Why did nobody challenge that? What other... Okay, we've thought about best. I think Garrett G, Fairy Peak would all be excellent. choices. Both be excellent choices, I think. What would be the worst players to get 3 of in a team? You know, there's probably several players in the pro scene. If you had 3 of them in a team, you know, just 3 of the same guy in a team, like, they would just all not show up for scrims. Like, you'd schedule a scrim with... Who's notorious for missing scrims? I think someone on Envy is. Wasn't it? Was it Mist that the entire North American scene were tweeting at, saying that he's sleeping for scrims? Was it Mist? I think it was Mist. Can you imagine a team of 3 Mists? Everybody would be so excited because Mist is so good, but then they would just never show up for scrims. They'd miss every tournament check-in. Like, no, but they're not even checking in for the tournament. Never mind playing in it. 3 turbos. I mean, 3 turbos would be great, but because you could have a constant wheeze. Like, you know, the only thing that's stopping Turbo from wheezing for an entire game is his lung span, like the size of his lungs. But if you have 3 of them, you can actually just take turns and you can wheeze the entire game. Like, you have team comms of 3 turbos and it's just like chain wheezes. Like, off everything. Can you imagine? Everything that would happen would be hilarious. They could really work on their wheeze rotation. 3 arsenals. I like the sound of 3 arsenals. That would be hype. 3 arsenals would be very exciting. 3 rails wouldn't work because they'd all be arguing which rails is the best. 3 arsenals could work. I can see 3 arsenals working. 3 amphases. Amphasises. Is it amphasis or amphi? No, I'm not even sure. Oh. Oh my goodness. What is this from Ashllxyy? Wow. Hold up. I try not to rewind, but wait a second. What has he just done here? What? What? That is crazy. This is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, look at the kickoff. From LuiisP's perspective, Ashllxyy's just gone to the side boost, so that's where he thinks Ashllxyy is. Then he realizes, wait, Ashllxyy's already here? What? Now Ashllxyy's going that way? What is going on? What is happening? I need to watch that one more time from Ashllxyy's POV. That's beautiful. I also want to pause this for a second and say that I did an interview, a long-form interview with Ashllxyy, and I asked him, because if you're not aware, he plays Rocket League, he plays with one hand, because he was born with one hand, so he only has the left hand of the joystick. He uses his chin for the right button, the right hand side of the controller, the buttons and so on. And I asked him, does that create any limitations mechanically? Is there anything in particular that's very difficult to do when you push all the buttons with your chin? And he said, wall dashes are really hard. That's what he told me. He said wall dashes are really difficult because his chin gets tired. Well, apparently Ashllxyy just got really high standards for himself, because that is one of the best, if not the best, wall dash plays I've seen in competition. My goodness, the control. His full explanation, actually, I've said this on stream before, but I love it, so I love the story, so I'll say it again. He said wall dashes are really difficult because your chin, he said his chin gets tired after like the 15th or 16th wall dash. I was like, alright, Ashllxyy, okay. What a flex, man. Yeah, well, the wall dashes get difficult after like 15 or 16. It gets very, very tiring. I'm like, oh, alright, buddy, alright. Ashllxyy's honestly incredible. Never ceases to amaze me. Hey, Scrub, why are you writing Flores? Lol, what did Flores do? What did Flores do? But that's game 1. Ashllxyy just unbelievable in that one. I'll hide the score so we can get into the next one. Like I said before, I'm not going to be like really casting these replays so much because they have been broadcasted before. But I want to watch them either way. Have a chat with you guys as we do. Yeah, I think these two are absolutely 2 of the best right now in ones. Oh, Ashllxyy's completely boost starved. Luis gonna pick up an easy goal here. 3 Flores. Flores, I've not heard that name in so long. 3 Flores. What is happening here? Okay, there we go. I really hope that we get to see Ashllxyy in 3s. I hope a team picks him up and puts in work, because this kid's got potential and he's got a great attitude as well. Jack and Joris are free in 1v1, say Scrubkilla. Oh no, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Here we go. Ashllxyy's getting some results. You didn't actually beat some... Who did he beat again? I've forgotten. We're on the wrong camera. Hold on. What's happening here? What is going on? Why are we on this camera? There we go. Yeah, I swear I saw a 3v3 team with Ashllxyy on it. Took down a legit team recently. Forgot what tournament it was though. Roas versus Ashllxyy for the best wall dashes recoveries. Roas versus Ashllxyy would just be a great series all around. Roas, easily one of the best defensive players in the world. And Ashllxyy, almost... I struggle to put together a list longer than like Luis, Joris. I think the list probably stops there when it comes to offense. Like Flair and offense, those three are peak for me. I don't know if anyone else is at that level when it comes to just the creativity and the execution. I think we're looking at two of the best. Like alongside Joris, that's my top three for offense. Daniel, I don't know if Daniel's got the same flair as they do. He's, you know, Daniel's very... The way I would describe Daniel is not so much improvisation, more... You can clearly tell that he's practiced everything that he's doing a whole lot. See, he just like does kind of the... He'll just like hit flip resets with such ease. He's really good at that. But what I mean by flair is players who can make it up as they go, like playing with such a free-flowing style. And, you know, Jack's described Jory as like this. He doesn't even play 1v1 like it's 1v1. He just plays like it's free play. He's just making it up as he goes along. He doesn't really have a plan sometimes. He's just like putting the ball in various positions and then figuring out what he can do with it. And that's kind of what Ashllxyy and Luis do as well when they're attacking. Justin? Yeah, Justin does this in 3v3. I don't know. Never seen Justin in ones, but I'm sure he could do the same sort of thing if he did put time into ones. Don't think he would though. Drally? Well, Drally's more like Daniel. Those guys just have very, very good mechanics, very good recoveries, very good boost management. They're just like exceptional mechanically. I think that Drally and Daniel are better mechanically than Luis and Ashllxyy. But Ashllxyy and Luis have got better creativity, and they've got better on-the-fly adaptation to their own plays and just like what ends up happening. Astral? Yeah, actually Astral. True, I forgot Astral. He's not been in the one scene for a while, but yeah, Astral, I think you just have to put him in there because he's obviously another player like that. Alpha is another one. You know, he's played ones a few times in the past with just unbelievable creativity and offense, but like Astral, not really been active in ones. Ahmad's, yeah, another one, but less active. Not as active as Ashllxyy, Luis. I suppose you could say the same thing about Joris, but Joris will always be the player that people are compared to when you're talking about offensive creativity. He's the bar, and I think Ashllxyy and Luis are the closest to him right now. Joris is better defensively than both of them, so I mean Joris is just like the most creative player in offense, and he's also like top 5 defense. You know, you're looking at Roas, Joris, Daniel, Khalid, Jack. I think like defense, that's it. That's the list. Lion Blaze as well. Got to throw him in there. I think all the best players have got some of the best defense. Joris is the most complete ones player. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say right now. I think Joris is still be number 1. Scrub keeps saying Joris is free. He really wants to manifest that into existence, but I ain't believing it till I see it. Yeah, the top, I've said it quite a few times recently, my top 4 for 1v1 right now is Jory is, I suppose you have to put Khalid ahead of Jack now because he just beat him in a best of 7. And then Jack. And then Daniel. But Daniel's very close. I think all 4 of them are very close. Hopefully we get to see Daniel against those guys in Europe. Like, can somebody get Daniel to Europe so they can just all play a tournament together? So it doesn't have to be cross-server. Because cross-server is always a bit questionable. Although it's a bit more balanced in 1v1 these days than it is in 3s, because ones at least you have slow plays and plays that aren't affected by ping more often. Actually, I'll tell you guys what the biggest advantage for 1v1, the biggest change that happened to 1v1 recently that actually improved playing on the away server is the kickoff meta. Like the introduction of the wave dash recovery kickoff and all the fake kickoffs and all the delayed kickoffs and so many different kickoffs being viable has really made playing someone who's on their home server and you're on the away server a lot easier because you don't get crushed on every kickoff. Like when you just do standard kickoff against standard kickoff, the person on the home server wins most of the time. But when you've got all these other kickoffs, it's less clear. The kind of saying Daniel beat Khalid on EU server. I didn't consider this like peak Khalid though, because he wasn't playing ones at all when that happened. So I didn't really look like that was just a bad timing for an event. I mean, you can see Khalid around about that time getting farmed by Jack in ranked. I think he lost like 17 out of 20 games that they played in ranked, and then more recently he's actually going much closer with Jack in ranked because he's playing ones again. And yeah, he won the EU tournament. He beat Jack, who was undefeated going into that match. So I think, yeah, Khaled's pretty clearly on a different level now. That's why I didn't run any ones tournaments at that time, is because I knew that nobody was playing ones. Well, none of the best players were playing ones. So it's like hard to say how much. Well, it's hard to know how much it matters or what it means. If you do a big 1v1 tournament in the middle of like a big 3s event, yeah, it just doesn't work. Like nobody practices for it. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for not practicing for it, because why would you when there's a bigger money event happening at the same time, or a more meaningful event happening at the same time? Khalid knows I'll farm him. Scrub's just calling out everybody right now. He's calling out Jack, Khalid, Jorius. He's going to call out Daniel next. Jorius will probably still be number 1. Yeah, Jorius it's crazy. He literally just doesn't have to play ones and he just comes and beats everybody. That's what's crazy about Jorius, because I know that Jack and Khalid, if they stop playing ones for a bit, they lose quite a lot of their skill. They really need to be on the grind to be able to perform well. But Jorius doesn't seem to fit that description at all. It's mad. Imagine if Jorius grinded. Yeah, imagine. I wish. Wait, Yukio beat you, Scrub? Scrub says he'll 1v1 Khalid right now and farm him. Oh my goodness, he's calling out everybody. He's calling out the whole squadron. I don't know if they're even online, man. Khaled's playing Dead by Daylight, he's just chilling. So, do you guys in chat know that Khalid is a competitive Dead by Daylight player? He's one of the best Dead by Daylight players in the world. I didn't know there was a pro scene for Dead by Daylight, but apparently there is, and Khalid is also a pro DBD player. He's pro in Rocket League and Dead by Daylight. So he's playing Dead by Daylight right now. I don't know if he'll play Scrub. Maybe. Do you want me to ask him? So I can ask him if you want to, but he might not see. He's on the DBD grind. King Spectre, I can't think of a worse game. I don't want to play that game. It looks terrifying. I don't like scary games. I've tried playing. What did I play again? It was what's that game called? The really scary game I played on stream. Oh, a nice little collection there by Luis on the floor. Is it Outlast or something? What's it called? Terrifying. I didn't make it past the water bit. Didn't make it past the water bit, which I hear is quite early in the game. I think I did play this a long time ago. It's so scary, oh man. Luis choosing to save his car rather than the ball there, but not like he had a choice. He's getting demoed if he jumped. Ahmad isn't free, unfortunately. How can you go and say Khalid, Jorius, and Jack are free, but not Ahmad? It doesn't compute, Scrub. It doesn't compute. Hey, Epilon, thanks for 35-month tier 1. And Coil Twitch Pro, thanks for 100 bits. Scrub needs to beat Ahmad first. Hey, he might be maybe he'll be in recently. I don't know if Ahmad's been playing much ones. He played the ones tournament for DreamHack. I'd be surprised if he did any prep for it though. I think he just kind of YOLO'd that one. But when it was Smug, I'm pretty sure he was playing private matches against Khalid to practice for Scrub, and then he smoked Scrub in Smug. Like when Ahmad is, when he's actually grinding ones, he's been top 10 before multiple times. I think he's nowhere near right now. Yeah, Ahmad got 2-0'd by Khalid. We didn't see those games, did we? The Ahmad versus Khalid 1v1 in the DreamHack event wasn't streamed. Can't believe this. Like DreamHack, could you not have gotten literally any caster to go online and stream that match? Just be like, yo, Ahmad, Khalid, see when you guys match up against each other in that game? Yeah, we're gonna need to have this dude in the lobby with you, thank you. Ignore him, and there's just somebody streaming the match. Like, you gotta get someone online to do that. The early stream, even if it's scuffed casting, scuffed production, that's the kind of stuff people want to see. Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit a button there. What did I hit? Okay, we accidentally hit forward. Here we go. Ahmad played one's ranked game on stream and he left when he was losing 3-0 in a minute. Yeah, that sounds like Ahmad's ranked one's experience. Like Ahmad, he really doesn't enjoy playing ranked ones, from what I understand. So. Unless it's like doing private matches to practice, you're not going to see him practice much. Nah, Raziers didn't. It was Luis and then Lorley in the lower bracket. Lower bracket Lorley. I wish it wasn't like, okay, I love that DreamHack are doing these tournaments, but one thing I don't like about it is that there's no invitations and all of the best players have to play through this like ridiculously long best of 3 qualifier or best of 3 tournament. Like if I was allowed to make one constructive criticism for the format for the DreamHack 1v1 event, at all the DreamHack events, invite, you know, maybe do a closed qualifier for all the unknown teams, because I know they want to make it open and let anybody sign up. Do an open qualifier for those guys, but then have like the invited teams as well. Because I don't think that someone like Khalid should have to play through multiple randoms in best of 3 before getting to the real games. And that also means that you don't have to do best of 3 at all. Like, you could do best of 3 for the open qual for the players who aren't really known, and then the best players can just do a best of 5 more exclusive event. Because best of 5 is the minimum series length you can do that is valid. Best of 3 is nonsense in Rocket League. Best of 1 is good because it's like a cool gimmick where you're not, you know, the winner of a all best of 1 tournament literally hasn't lost a game, which is kind of cool. Like League of Rocket style stuff. I love that as a, you know, brand idea. But best of 3 just like is in this spot in between, this awkward spot in between, where you don't just have somebody winning because they brought the best game to game 1, but you also don't have the player. There's no chance to adapt really to your opponent. You need best of 5. This is all what I've discovered over casting thousands of 1 series. Best of 3 is extremely random. But apart from that, I want to give credit. I think DreamHack are doing an awesome thing, and I think the fact they're doing 1v1, 2v2, and 3v3 events is super sick. I want to see more of that. So big props to DreamHack for doing something that very few TOs do. Other game modes. And they're also doing like a freestyle thing and like some other event. I don't know what it's called. Like are they like rating people's car designs or something? I don't know what it's called. But yeah, really cool ideas. Very innovative, so I love that. But yeah, best of 3. I hate best of 3. It's so bad. Right, that was game 3. So we're looking at a Luis lead here. Let's get into the business end of the series. Let's get into the business end. Oh, I've loaded the wrong replay. Hold on. Yeah, I know some of you guys prefer when I cast these, but I don't know. Just wanted to kind of have a Q&A stream while we just watch these replays back, because I didn't watch them. Yeah, the mechanics on display by both players, so impressive. And if this was best of 3, like the later stages of the tournament weren't best of 3, thank goodness. This is best of 5. But if it was best of 3, Luis would have just won. Because that is 2-1 for Luis. If it was best of 1, Ashllxyy would have won, because he took the first game. There's a mental breaking moment. Oh my. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. You think Daniel would crush Ahmad? If Ahmad can go even on kickoffs, he might be a big problem for Daniel, because Daniel did struggle against Rally, who was just zooming around. And Ahmad does like to do that. He loves to zoom. So if Ahmad could just go even in kickoffs, I think he would be a good match for Daniel. But I don't think he would go even in kickoffs. I think Daniel would probably dominate kickoffs 70-30 and win the game. Nah, hey, listen, being as dominant as Daniel is in the NA1 scene is impressive. I've said this many times. I'll say it again. The most disappointing thing about the NA1 scene throughout the history of it is that many times throughout like the history of NA1s, the best player has just stopped playing because they know they're not the best anymore, and they just stop. They'd rather just go out being the player everybody thinks is the best, rather than play the new up-and-comer, give them the chance to beat them, pass on the torch. Just for an example, the first ever player, well actually, the first ever player isn't part of this category, because the first like best 1v1 player in NA was Kronovi, and Kronovi doesn't fit this bill at all. He's a great example of what I think you should do. Think about back in the start of Rocket League, Kronovi was the biggest streamer, best player, everybody thought he's the best ones player. Did that make him shy away from players that are also really good? No, not at all. He played against Marky, lost. He played against Scrub, lost. He played against... who else did he play? I swear he played a bunch of others, but I'm forgetting right now. Cuxer, lost. He played against like all the other best players. He played against Pashy and on Pashy's channel. Kronovi played against everybody. It was so sick because he passed on the torch to all them. He just, you know, got those players more hype around them. I think Marky he got 2k followers in a day after beating Kronovi. Like literally, Kronovi gave Marky a huge stream boost back in the days when Marky streamed. And Scrubkiller, yeah, made a name for himself. First big match that he won was against Kronovi. Played him twice on Kronovi's stream. So Kronovi is an awesome example of what I think you should do if you're considered the best. You should, you know, especially in a game mode like 1v1 where it's just like for fun, essentially. Yeah, just go out and make the content, give the community what they want, and put your ego to the side. Oh, lovely mind game there. Very nice by Ashllxyy. But yeah, after Kronovi did this, unfortunately, a lot of the other players from NA1s didn't really follow suit. I think the next player who became the best was, I'd say, Dapper. And Dapper played... He definitely like gave a few people on the come up a chance to beat him. But I think after Dapper like kind of fell off a bit in ones, he just never played against any of the top players. Probably because he didn't want to lose, which is, you know, fine. But it really hindered the players on the come up, players like First Killer at the time. Because everybody thought, well, First Killer might be the best player, but he hasn't beaten Dapper, and he hasn't beaten Squishy, and he hasn't beaten Lachinio. So maybe he's not. You know, it's just like a big question mark. So First Killer actually, for a long time, was a question mark player because he was beating everybody, but he'd never beaten the guys who were the best before him. Dapper, Squishy, Lachinio, all just stopped playing ones because they knew they were probably going to lose, and it hindered the players on the come up beneath them. Lethnimer is kind of in the Kronovi box though, because you know he was also considered one of the best, if not the best in NA, and he actually did give players on the come up a chance to beat him. He played in Salt Mine 1, actually beat First Killer in Salt Mine 1, funnily enough. But yeah, he played against all the best players, so Lethnimer, not a player that I'm talking about here at all. Him and Kronovi really helped the NA1 scene a lot. But yeah, Dapper, Latch, Squishy, more recently First Killer, just stopped playing. They were all considered the best at a time, and they just stopped. They didn't give anybody a chance to beat them. And First Killer might come back and prove that he's still the best. But in the meantime, Daniel's probably the best, but we don't even know because he hasn't beaten First Killer, which is kind of lame. It's kind of unfortunate. And I understand why. Like, you know, there's definitely a lot of pride there. You don't want to lose, so fair enough. But yeah, you all know what you'd want to see. When First Killer was number 1, well, I mean, obviously First Killer, when he was number 1, clearly he played a ton, but he just randomly stopped playing without passing the torch, is what I'm saying. He never passed the torch. And then compare that to Europe. Like, let's think of all the players who are at any time considered the best player in Europe 1v1. Marky passed the torch to Scrubkilla. Scrubkilla passed it back and forth between himself and Cuxer several times. Then along comes K-Dot, Fairy Peak, Devo, Flores. All of these players had chances to beat whoever was considered the best at the time, and did do it, and were considered best in Europe at some time before someone else came along and beat them. Then you had the even newer age. You had the Flakes come along. You had Khalid come along. All these guys beat the guy who was the best player to become the new best player. Flakes beat Fairy. Khalid beat Flakes. Like, all these guys, literally every single one I've said. Marky to Scrub, to Cux, back to Scrub, probably from there to Fairy Peak or K-Dot. I'd say Fairy Peak, undisputed. Then to Flakes, then to Khalid, then to Jorius. Now Jack maybe is again in the conversation as well. Like, there's a very clear story for Europe 1v1, European 1v1. Because nobody had an ego and didn't want to play the up-and-comer who might be better than them. Like, everybody just passed the torch. Everybody just did what I think you're supposed to do if you're the guy. Like, imagine if NRG right now just all said, yeah, we're going to stay as a team, but we're just not going to play in any tournaments. Everybody would be like, what? Why? You can't call yourself the defending champions. You can't call yourself the world champions if you're not going to play in any tournaments. Obviously, there would be another world championship without them, and that new player would become the champion, or the new team would become the champion. You don't just get to hold on to that, and it's kind of lame if you do. I like the idea if somebody like retires, like actually they're the best player, and they just say, I'm done. This is it for me. I'm retiring. Fair enough. But yeah, players who are very much still active and just choose not to play because they're afraid. I have no time for this. It's so frustrating. Because yeah, it's really hindered the NA1 scene. NA1 scene is way less hype than EU, and it's all because people just don't pass the torch. Who are the best youngsters in the world right now? For NA, you've got Daniel. There's a lot of hype around Aqua as well. And then for EU, Zen is super hype. Oski. Drally as well, of course. Yeah, it's like Tylacto, exactly. Another point that I'd like to make before I leave the 1v1, what do you call it? Discussion. Like the best 1v1 player ever discussion. The final point is that there really is nothing to lose by, you know, being the best and losing to the new best player. There's nothing to lose, and I think Kronovi proved that, because Kronovi was the best, or considered the best, lost to Marky, didn't lose any viewers, lost to Scrub, didn't lose any viewers, lost to Cuxer, didn't lose any viewers. He just like stayed the most popular streamer, And if anything, it only helped people gain respect for him because he's willing to put himself out there. Had no ego, just wanted to make cool content, give the community what they want to see, and give the other players that are part of the same competitive scene as him a chance to beat him. So you don't lose anything. Like, I don't know why people are so afraid to lose. If somebody's better, they're better. Fair play. There's really no losses there. Like, obviously somebody loses the series, but no one's gonna judge. There was actually so long. There was a ridiculous amount of time, probably like half a year to a whole year, where First Killer was probably the best ones player. Actually, you know, another player who's in this discussion is Lethimer. Lethimer's probably the player who had the hardest time with this, because I remember Lethimer, he won a 1v1 tournament that I did on my channel. I think it had Dapper, Latch, and Squishy in it. And then I did another 1v1 tournament on my channel, and it didn't have those guys in it. So Lethimer won it, and everybody was just saying, oh, well, but yeah, who cares? Obviously, Leth is going to win this. There's no competition. So Lethimer dominated a ones tournament, and, like, unfortunately, nobody cared. I thought it was a real shame, because at that point, I thought it was clear that Lethimer was the best in NA. But whenever you would ask anybody in the scene who's the best 1v1 player in NA, everybody would say probably Squishy or Dapper. Not Lethimer, who's actually the best. Just because he never got a chance to beat them on their way out. What I think about AJ, is he in the discussion at all? I don't think AJ's ever been undisputed best. I don't think AJ's ever been the undisputed best player. The only players who I think have ever been the undisputed best player in 1v1 throughout Rocket League history are Kronovi, Marky Duda, Scrubkilla, Cuxer, Fairy Peak, Flakes, Khalid, Jorias. The list stops there. That's it. No one else has been the best. But the players who have come the closest are players like Devo, K-Dop, Flores, Lethimer. You could maybe make a case that Lethimer was undisputed best for a very short time, because I think at one point he did. Yeah, I think Scrubkilla won a 1v1 tournament on my channel, and then Lethimer won a 1v1 tournament on my channel, and then Lethimer beat Scrub in some ridiculous series where I think Scrub, didn't you win 3-0, and then Lethimer said let's go best of 7, and then he actually reverse swept you. I think that happened. Sorry to bring it up. But yeah, maybe at that moment, that one tournament, you could say Lethimer's the best. And the only other player, maybe Dapper for NA. Because I think Dapper, yeah, didn't Dapper win Gold Rush? So I guess you could say Dapper was the best when he won Gold Rush. Although I don't think Scrub wasn't there. So that makes it a little bit less of an undisputed claim. But yeah. Cux won Gold Rush. Didn't Dapper... I thought Dapper beat Cux at Gold Rush. Did Cux win Gold Rush? Really? Well, Dapper's definitely been very close. Like, I'll add Dapper and Lethimer in there because there's very little NA representation, so you gotta just go with those guys. Oh my. Wait, Luis just leaves? What? Tylacto, explain. He left? Whoa. Oh yeah, he's not happy about this one. I mean, the last goal he just gave it to him. Wow, I didn't think he was just gonna leave. That's crazy. Ashllxyy got inside his head that much that he just leaves. Okay, I'll check Steam. Wow. Well, yeah, that's Ashllxyy versus Luis. That's crazy. Was that the ruined after the fake earlier? Ah, yeah, probably. It's probably like he just collapses after this.